What's up, my mini makers? Welcome to another episode of Tiny Tim's Minis. For those of you that do not know, I am Tim, and on this channel we take big things and we make them small. We're kicking off spooky season. Spooky season! We're getting spooky. We're making El Chupacabra, and I'm very excited. I had a couple videos my first couple videos actually, I made a Sasquatch and I made a Yeti. If you're curious about my first couple videos, make sure you go check them out. Links up above. But this week we're getting back into the Cryptid Monsters. We're making El Chupacabra. I have been on a sculpting kick recently because I did the zombie Pokemon, love them, and now we're doing El Chupacabra, and like, it's a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying the sculpting thing. Before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that like button. Let the YouTube algorithm know that you really like this video. Share with your friends, share with your family. If there's anything you want to see in miniature, comment down below. If you like this video, what did you like about it? If you didn't like this video, what did you not like about it? I want to know. I want to make content that you folks are enjoying. So, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. So I kind of started with absolutely no idea of what I wanted him to look like. I eventually came up with a thought, because I was looking through a lot of lore and a lot of descriptions of what the Chupacabra was, and a lot of them, he was a dog, he was a kangaroo, he was an alien. I kind of went with a reverse kangaroo, because kangaroos have really strong legs and really small arms. So I went with really big arms, really strong arms, and kind of smaller legs. So I kind of sculpted some big ol' arms and added muscles where I thought I would look kind of cool. So I just kind of added clay in the shape of muscles, and eventually came up with this here. It came out better than I thought, but the idea for the Chupacabra, what I wanted, because again, a lot of them were like small dogs, coyotes, alien-looking creatures. I wanted it to be a parasite. So in the parasite, it would grow inside a goat, and then eventually explode out of the goat and become El Chupacabra, which means goat sucker. So that's kind of what I went with. You'll see eventually, like, what his head looks like. It's basically a goat sucker. Once I was finished sculpting his body, I applied a bunch of isopropyl alcohol to smooth out all my fingerprints because I was touching it so much. And I took a toothbrush and added some texture. The texture came out really nice. It was a really easy way, because I was going to hand sculpt all the texture on there, make like some sort of clay something to push on like I did with the Charmander. But eventually I came up with toothbrush, and it looks like skin pores. So with the legs, because he's exploding out of a goat, I wanted to make some goat legs. So I made little tiny, they're kind of thick. It's a thick goat, or maybe the parasite like expanded inside the legs. I'm not too sure, but those are some thick goat legs, I do agree. So I made some hooves. The hooves, they're small hooves, they're adorable. You can't go wrong with small hooves. That tool is great for, oh yeah, here we go. My favorite tool of this build. It's like a wire brush. It adds really nice hair texture. That's really the only thing I use it for. You can use it for wood. If you're sculpting wood, I guess you could use it for wood, but I use it for the back legs. And then I brush some isopropyl alcohol over just to get, there's a lot of little bitties on there, and I just want to get them off. The claws, I kind of want the claws, in my head, they were like overgrown hooves. I knew it was like a parasite, but I wanted them to be overgrown hooves. And I knew I wanted one hand to be on a rock. So I sculpted this rock. I pushed other rocks into this piece of clay to make it look like rock. It's a really easy way to make rocks, is just grab some rocks and texture it with rocks. The way I sculpted his arms, one of them was up and one of them was down. So I knew I wanted his hand to be on some sort of support. So that's why it looks like that. The claws, I did adjust a little bit. They were hooves, but I also wanted them to have some sort of grippy situation, some knuckles or something on there. So we did add that. For the face, I got a really good idea for the face just out of the blue. I was gonna make it look like a leech face, like leech head. They have big circular mouths with a bunch of little tiny teeth in there. Because I was like, it's a parasite, it sucks blood. Let's make it a leech face. And I got really excited about that idea, so I went with it. It was really kind of disgusting just thinking. Like, I mean, think about it. You got a goat, and then all of a sudden it explodes out, and there's this weird leech spine monster staring down at you. It's terrifying. I used some plastic over this just to add some different texture. The plastic is there to make sure you're not digging too far into the clay. I used this little metal tool. It's a really nice tool. It reminds me of a sword. The teeth do not even get me started on how annoying the teeth were. I had to stab a bunch of tiny little holes, and I had to make a bunch of tiny little teeth. It was very time consuming. I broke a couple teeth because they were so fragile, because they were so small. But all I did, I'm not going to bore you with the whole process of me putting every single tooth in there, because that would be too long. But it took way too long to put those teeth in there, but it came out fantastic. I was really happy with how these teeth came out. I added spines on top of his head, just because I didn't like how just bare his head was looking. I was going to keep it just kind of plain, but I added spikes. I had a bunch of extra spikes. So I was like, let's just put him in his head. Let's see how they look. And dang, dude, that thing is terrifying. It added a nice little spice that I wanted. There's enough, because the lore, again, it was a spiny creature. And with the extra spikes on there, like, really added to that, like, original idea of the Chupacabra. For the paint job, I wanted him to be black. I put a layer of white gesso. I think I'm saying that right. It just kind of helps make sure the paint sticks nice to the clay. We're doing a quick coating of black, quick coating of brown. I don't really don't take my time on this one. It's just the base coating. I just kind of want to get an idea of what the colors are going to look like here. And we're not being too careful because we can touch up things later. Once we get everything touched up, though, then we start adding a little bit more detail. I added some red at the top just to add a little color because I didn't want him to be all black. I was going to try doing a white wash. I tried it and it did not work because there's a bunch of little pores in there. I thought it'd be cool to have some like white popping up and then doing some maybe blue highlights on there, but it didn't work out. I did do a dry brushing of a lighter brown on the goat's legs though, just to make it pop up a little bit because that tool is really nice at making ridges and you don't want all that hard work going to waste. So we did a dry brushing of a nice light brown. From there, once everything was touched up, we did a black wash. I just did it all over the place because the paint was a little bit too shiny and there was some matte medium in the black wash, so it just kind of tones down all the shininess and it adds like some nice definition and shadow onto there. And then we highlighted it with a dry brushing of white. I think the dry brushing of white came out great. It added a lot of detail that I wanted on there. It was like, whoa, 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 whoa. This looks great. Just dry brushing of white everywhere. It makes him look, again, adds a bit of more definition because he would have just kind of looked a little bland boy. At this point, I showed my girlfriend and she's like, yo, it's missing something. It's too flat. I was like, you're right. It needs to be exploding out of it. So I added some goat skin. This is what that is. It's disgusting. Yes, I know. But it's a parasite that's growing out of a goat. It can't just be flush and flat. It's got to have some disgusting, gruesome content on there. So we did that. I just kind of blended everything in. I took my stipple thing and just added some gruesome texture onto there. It makes it look gross. It is gross. And then we added some good skin biddies on his shoulder, and then we added on his back. I'm not gonna show you me painting these because that would be boring. You already saw me painting the legs. We did the same thing. Look at that. Like a little bit of goat skin hanging on there. That's disgusting. Disgustingly cool, right? Yeah, no, I love it. So we added some blood. I want to add a little bit more texture. Look at that. Look at that gross goat skin. Added some blood to his spines because he did just grow out of a goat. It wouldn't be dirty. It would be bloody. So we had some blood everywhere. Added some blood onto his goat legs, his thick goat legs. Look at that dump truck, Mr. Goat. Add a little bit more texture onto his skin, onto some of the goat bits on there. So I took some glossy Mod Podge and I added it to the ridges by his head, added it to his mouth, and also added it to the goat skin, like the bloody parts, because I wanted them to look disgusting and shiny. The base was really easy. I didn't want to take away from the sculpture too much. So I just kind of wanted to add an underbrush, like the goat is in a goat pasture or like in a field somewhere. I took some ground up stick bits that were at the bottom of my stick container, and I put those on the bottom, then I put some sand on top. I would usually use sculpt molds at this point, but because the sculpture was already sculpted on a flat surface, if I added any dimension onto there, the sculpture would be all sorts of weird, so I didn't want to mess that up. So I just did it right on top of the base I was using. From there, I just put on some different colored flocking. I had some yellow static grass and then some like clump grass as well. I wanted to add some definition and layers underneath the green that I'm going to add on top next. We're using a mixture of, I think it was 2mm and 6mm. I'm not 100%, but it came out good. I definitely added too much Mod Podge onto there, so what I was doing with the yellow didn't show as much as I wanted, but it still came out good. I do want to do a video on some different flocking techniques and just ways to make different ground textures like woods or stuff like that. I did add a bit more texture onto there, but let's get to them beauty shots and see how this thing came out. Another diorama in the books. Thanks for watching today's video. If you liked today's video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share with your friends and family, let that YouTube algorithm know that you enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun making. If there's anything you want to see, comment down below. Comment what you thought about this video. I do have a new series as well that I started called Miniature Artist Reacts. So if there's anything you want me to react to, like a cool diorama, basically anything in miniature, let me know down below. Also, go check out the video. Links up above. Yeah, so I think that's it. I think that's all the plugs I got. I will see you next time for another video. See ya.